Speaker, in my riding of Scarborough Southwest, small businesses were left behind throughout the last 2 years of the pandemic. A local favorite and Black-owned business, Omo Bamboo Shop, owned by Omo Nwami, a creative young woman entrepreneur, suffered losses and was also left behind by this grant. Omo Nwami and many others who sell products at shops, farmers markets, creators markets were left behind because of the barriers that this grant included. And Omo Nwami wrote to us, and I want to quote, "I own a store, but most of my sales come from pop-up markets. You have seen me at markets. I couldn't do any market in January because indoor gatherings were not allowed and flea markets couldn't operate. The categories listed on the government website doesn't take into account people like me, whose businesses were brought to a stop indirectly. My sales for January was about 90% less than what I would have done if there were markets, and about 200% less than that of December. Myself and many businesses like me who rely on the flea markets, artisan markets, and pop-up markets in general should be able to apply, but for some reasons they were overlooked." Speaker, my question is, why did the provincial small grants leave behind businesses and entrepreneurs like Omo and dozen others in my community who are still left without any answers or support? Thank you, Speaker.
Minister of Finance to respond.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, to the member opposite for that question. Of course, as you know, we were following public health guidelines and the advice of the Chief Medical Officer at Health, and of course, many businesses were impacted by the shutdown in January. But of course, we came there to support those businesses that were 100% locked down. We provided a third round of small business support grants to over 100,000 businesses, over $3 billion in the 3 rounds, Mr. Speaker, but we didn't stop there. We provided property tax and electricity relief for those businesses affected, Mr. Speaker, but we didn't stop there. We've provided support for digitization, for PPE grants, but we didn't stop there, Mr. Speaker. We're now reopening the province such that the conditions are there for small businesses to prosper because they are the backbone and the identity of our province. Thank you.
The supplementary question.
Speaker, in case the Minister of Finance wasn't listening, Omo did not have the struggles that the minister just identified. She did not even qualify to get the grant. And he mentioned the grant that was just introduced, which was the latest small business grant program that was announced in January, but opened in February 18th, a month later, and closed on March 11th. The application, which needed to be done fully online, was available for less than 30 days, Speaker. Our community takes pride in being a place where people from all walks of life, people who may not be all digitized for their businesses, for example, some seniors, people with many other barriers, can enrich, and the local economy with their small businesses, entrepreneurship, can flourish. These exact people, Speaker, and many others were left behind by the grant's unreasonable requirements and accessibility barriers. Local grocery shops, farmers markets, for example, lost income over the past 2 years, did not qualify. In fact, I have a list of over 20 businesses right here that I have told the ministry about, and they did not do anything. And people are still waiting, and these include people who are like taxi drivers, driving instructors, gym owners, and I could just go on, but I do not have that time. Speaker, so my question is, why did the government not expand the eligibility and the deadline despite being told repeatedly about the issues of the grant program? And why did the province fail to deliver a broad and accessible support program for small businesses?
Mr. Finance.
Well, Mr. Speaker, thank you again to the member opposite for that question. Mr. Speaker, you know, one of the things that we have focused on to support the job creators in this province, including small businesses, large businesses, entrepreneurs, men and women of this great province, is putting in place the conditions so that they can prosper, Mr. Speaker. That's why we have a minister in charge of red tape. That's why we've introduced 8 bills and passed 8 bills for red tape reduction. That's why the Minister of Energy has focused on providing electricity relief and energy relief for the people and businesses of Ontario. That's why we saw in the last month 34,000 new jobs created in Ontario, leading the country again, followed by in February when 194,000 new jobs were created. Wow. Those are people who have more money in their pockets that can go to your local business, can prosper and support our economy, because that's the way forward, and we're not going to go backward.